Welcome back. You're watching Crossfire. Thank you very much for joining us. Tonight, the Wiper Democratic Movement became the third political party to hold a national delegates convention after KANU and Ford Kenya, as the party fronts their party leader Kalonzo Musyoka for the topmost seat. But the presence of ODM leader Raila Odinga seems to have left more questions than answers on Wiper's next move at a time when political parties are engaging in intense talks and negotiations in a bid to score the winning formula just 8 months to the 2022 crucial vote. Tonight here on Crossfire, we analyze the state of politics and what strategies political parties are set to employ, not just for relevance, but for the ultimate goal of clinching power. And helping us with this conversation, I'll be speaking to Hesbon Owila, who is a political analyst, joining us virtually. Dan Manzo, who's the Member of Parliament, Makueni, he's on his way here. It's just from also the Wiper NDC, so he'll be telling us more about that. And Alice Wahome, Member of Parliament, Kandara, is also joining us virtually shortly here on Crossfire. So, of course, remember to be part of this conversation. Any questions, comments, as you watch our panelists, let's thrash some issues through. At Akisa Wandera, at KTN News KE, the hashtag to use is Crossfire, as we take a look at what really is the game plan for these political parties and what are we likely to see in the coming months, even as parties haggle and rush to hold NDCs in preparation for the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? We'll be asking that to our panelists tonight. Thank you for joining us. Hesbon Owila, we have you. We'll perhaps start, and Dan Manzo and Alice Wahome will be joining us shortly for the conversation. Hesbon, really good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin with what's happened today. The Wiper NDC, as expected, propping Kalonzo Musyoka for the top job. But is the presence of all the OKA members of parliament, we saw Raila Odinga, ODM party leader, and that is what has gotten tangs wagging. Let's start with what Wiper is doing. Your thoughts from where you sit. Is this a rebirth or a likely rebirth of NASA, but a bigger alliance?
Thank you, Akisa, and good to see you too after a very long time. I think it's long since we shared a platform on TV. I think it was refreshing to see what happened. The popular endorsement of Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka as a presidential candidate for the party, and then the coming together of leaders just beyond the traditional leaders that we had in NASA. I think it's a big thing for the coalition that. We are likely to see come out of this. It might be too early to talk about it, but I think the reception that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga received probably speaks much more, of some sort of a unity of purpose, and raises a lot of curiosity, that given what has been in the public domain in the last few months, what Kalonzo has said about working with Raila, what the OKA leaders have done, in the recent past. We've seen Gideon Moi has done the same, Senator Moses Wetangula has done the same, has been endorsed by Ford Kenya. And then right now we have Wiper giving Kalonzo Musyoka, that popular mandate, to be their flag bearer. It raises a lot of, questions around what is the likely outcome, of the journey that these former NASA principals have been taking, go galvanize more support through OKA, and then Raila climbing the mountain. And then we've also heard of these conversations around a grand coalition, which many people have perceived to be one united coalition that, would take on the deputy president. And of course, what Kenyans now expect, or what Kenyans should look forward to is, to what extent does this coming together of these different political leaders, bring together the aspirations of Kenya, creates a roadmap that would help Kenyans understand what these political dynamics, mean to their immediate needs, to putting food on their table, to addressing the issues of escalating prices of basic commodities, addressing the issues of, having an economy that the president has essentially moved of 45 billion USD since Kibaki left power to around 103 billion USD at the macro level, translating that down to having individuals and families that have money in their pocket is such a big thing that you'd expect that the coming together of these leaders is not just a political galvanization of different kingpins, but a new consciousness that will, realize that there are aspirations of millions of Kenyans and essentially just articulate how they will translate the gains that we've made in this last government, to translate it to, immediate needs of Kenyans.
Right. And just before I speak to Wahome, you began by talking about perhaps this gravitating to each other, towards each other is for unity of purpose. Among the crucial things that were said today, TJ Kajwang, Member of Parliament, Ruaraka, when he was giving a speech in that Wiper NDC, said, "We are tired of being in the opposition. It is time for you to take us to the government." Could this be that unity of purpose at this point for all these parties, and especially those who are in the NASA coalition in 2017?
Well, I think, Akisa, there are enough indications to suggest that this could actually be some sort of a unity of purpose. I mean, it's not by default that Raila Odinga attends, the endorsement Kalonzo Musyoka to that popular, pompous welcome, and gives this moving speech that, in as much as they've been apart for some time, there's a likelihood that their paths will cross in the near future. I mean, those are statements, and the fact that, prominent ODM personalities were given a chance to speak on this, occasion, basically says a lot about what is in the offing, and probably underscores the fact that there is a high likelihood that we'll see, the partners who are initially in NASA emerge with a bigger, stronger coalition. And just like I said, my hope as a Kenyan is that this coalition will not just carry the aspirations of Kenyans, but will actually address the plight of Kenyans and, in essence, articulate how they will take us forward from where President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to leave us. All
right, let's bring in Kandara MP Alice Wahome. Thank you very much, Mesh, for joining us here tonight on Crossfire. I'm hoping you've been able to hear some of the submissions there by Hezbollah Owila. But coming from UDA and a strong supporter of the Deputy President William Ruto, seeing the event today at Wiper with all these leaders seemingly coalescing around each other and ultimately around Raila Odinga. Coming from UDA and Deputy President William Ruto being the other also strong candidate, how does it make you feel seeing all these blocks on one side and you're on the other? Yes, go ahead.
Is it me?
Yes, it's you, Wahome.
Yes, I can hear you, yes. I want to first say that I have seen the proceedings of the Wiper NDC, National Delegates Convention, and that they had invited the OCA leaders as well, including the ODM party leader. And coming from UDA, I don't think that will really not discourage us. We are focused on forming the next government. And I believe that all these activities around the OCA, the ODM, State House, all these activities, as my colleague there has said, my fellow panelists have said, are geared towards forming a unity of purpose to defeat William Ruto. So the person to defeat in this particular case, in these activities, according to them, is William Ruto. But they have missed the point. The people to defeat are the people of Kenya, not William Ruto, because the person that will form the government will have to be accepted by the people of Kenya. And William Ruto is working with the people. So it doesn't matter what coalitions they are trying to form. They are unlikely to reach where William Ruto has reached with the people of Kenya. He has sold his agenda. He has been able to explain himself very, very widely within the public. And his message of the bottom-up economic model has been loud and clear, has been accepted, resonated well, very well with the majority of Kenyans. Yeah.
Why do you imagine that the people are more for William Ruto and not with all these other leaders, not with Raila Odinga, not with Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula, Gideon Moi, you name them? Why do we seemingly come from a place where we believe the people are only with William Ruto?
You see, people don't just vote for you, Akisa. People vote for you because you have sold yourself to them. You have marketed your agenda to them. You have explained yourself, and that they have bought into your agenda. If you look at the activities, the visits of William Ruto countrywide, you can see that the people, in my view, are resonating, are listening to what he is saying. The attendance in his public rallies, public meetings, even when he has gone to do maybe a commissioning of a project, you will find that even where he has not purposed to stop, that people are forcing him to stop, to speak to them. And, you know, unless we are not living in Kenya, some of us, you can feel the crowd. You can feel the people. And I believe that the others are trying to catch up. You have seen the movement to the so-called Mount Kenya by the ODM leader. He has a small group there lying to him. And I can tell you, because I come from that region, you need to simply listen to the ground. Everybody you ask, 90% plus, will tell you they are for William Ruto. You have seen in the Rift Valley. You have also seen in Nyanza region that there are areas that people, in fact, there were organized groups that were trying to disrupt William Ruto's stopovers, but that did not succeed because people this time do not want the same rhetoric that we have been treated to. And of course, you know, we have come campaign after campaign, general elections after another, and eventually the promises are never met, including the Jubilee government that has been unable to meet the promises that we made to the people. So if these people are being brought together around Jubilee, around ODM, they should be prepared to be defeated by the people of Kenya. Not William Ruto, the people of Kenya. The people are with William Ruto.
All right, you seem very convinced with that. Dan Manzo has just joined us, Makueni Member of Parliament, joining me here in studio. I'm speaking to Alice Wahome Kandara, Member of Parliament, and Hesbon Owila, who's a political analyst. And we've started with looking at the Wiper NDC. Alice Wahome says, as UDA, they're not worried about all these leaders seemingly working together or likely to work together because William Ruto is a person to defeat. You're from that Wiper NDC today. The presence of Raila Odinga has left a lot of questions on what is the game plan here. Talk to us about that. And thank you for joining us, by the way.
Thank you. At a long day, you know, NDC is quite a lot of work, and we thank God it was a big success. 7,000 delegates plus, and all these parties which came to support us, and that gives the face of Kenya. If I do my rating, for now, I think if you go by ODM, then UDA and OKA coalition, each one of them now is having about a third of the 40 block of the country. So if you are to look at that, then you know that if you combine OKA with any other like-minded coalition like ODM, then you've got 2/3 of the country. And I think there's nothing to worry about. 9 months to an election is quite
it's a long time.
It's a long time in politics. I'm aware even in central Kenya, which is the main hub of the DP for now, a lot of people are worried that there's no commitment as to sharing of power, and if they give their vote, what will happen? And I like what Moses Kuria was doing, try to build an alternative party in central Kenya so that they can bargain for power, or going to coalition with a like-minded party. So I don't think the DP should sit pretty, you know, in central Kenya, having not given commitments. And the people know him very well. The Kenyans know who he is. So, and a lot of times we could be having a political rally with all these youths who did not register as voters. So the real voters are yet to talk. Yes.
When you say like-minded in this case, what do you mean?
Well, ideology. You see the ideology those parties hold, like you can see in Wiper, we are talking of a 24-hour economy. Musalia Mudavadi and his party, ANC, are talking of money to the pocket of Kenyans. They are looking at systems whereby Kenyans will work hard and grow rich, not depending on adults, because they never make anyone rich. Structures which, can make sure that taxation is balanced, and you begin growing SMEs. You begin growing the economy post-COVID. So if you look at what OCA and the ODM are marketing, it's more plausible than what UDA is marketing. Right. It's more of talk. And you see, you have to look at the track of a leader. In the 10 years he's been a deputy president, when you had between President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, they shared power equally in 2013, and they still continue to share power equally today. In fact, Dr. William Ruto controls half of government, if not more, today. So
does he really right now? Can we confidently say that he does?
He still does, because you see the number of ministers, the number of PSS, the number of CEOs from his former party, the way they had shared power, nothing much changed. So that means he still is, and a lot of contracts being performed, conducted in the country. Is it road construction? He's part of those things very much. Therefore, he still controls a lot of government. Why can't he practice those things now? We have got 9 months for him to do those, to create change, to move, to invest in SMEs now. He should do the bottoms up now, not tomorrow, because he's still the deputy president.
Right. One would argue that he really does not control much right now, considering the kind of relationship he has with President Uhuru Kenyatta. But what you're telling us tonight, Dan Manzo, is there's a very high likelihood that a grand coalition is in the offing with Raila Odinga at the top?
Not necessarily, but what is clear is that there is no single political party can form government by itself, including UDA. Anyone who will form government in future in this country will have to work in a coalition. And this is a multi-party era. It is in the constitution. What UDA is trying to tell Kenyans is that we must go to one-party state. They are not open to coalitions. They are not open to small parties. They are not open into any other thinking. In fact, the thinking of UDA is already dictatorial. We are already back to 1980 in this country.
Okay. Let me bring in Hesbon Owila now. You've heard what Dan Manzo. I'll give you a chance to respond to that. But Hesbon, what do you think will inform how parties will align themselves with each other? What will be the most crucial considerations for these particular parties at this point, looking at our politics and the space right now? Hesbon?
I think Mheshimiwa Dan Manzo is alluding to like-minded, and of course talking about ideology, and I think that is overstretching the maturity of our democracy. What essentially is going to happen is whatever parties are going to come together will be dependent on the likelihood of the person who will be given the mandate to lead the coalition of parties winning an election. There are so many conversations about safe pair of hand, in whose hands are we going to be safe. I think those are just semantics. At the end of the day, it's a question of who has that national appeal that would galvanize votes from beyond his traditional base. And I think that will be the key determining factor. Then number two, political parties will coalesce, and political party leaders will coalesce around the aspirations of Kenya as a secondary thing, but more importantly, around that candidate who is likely to have enough resources to marshal a presidential campaign. So there are two critical things. One is, what capital does a political party and a presidential candidate within that political party have? Do they have the capacity to win an election? And then number two, do they have the capacity to marshal resources? They may not have the resources, but do they have the capacity to marshal those resources to mount a presidential campaign? And whether we like it or not, there is a high likelihood that what we are talking about here is a big group of just 2 presidential candidates. So whether you want to say that they are uniting against the deputy president or they're uniting around an ideology, I think it's just a question of semantic. Because at the end of the day, what different political formations would want is to win power. That is the most primary. And I think it would be shooting themselves in the foot if they go looking for that power by presenting a candidate who from the word go is weak. And whether it is the OCA and ODM wing or the deputy president wing, these are serious questions that they will have to address. I think for the deputy president, it's a lot more easy because he's already the candidate. So he only has the headache of picking a running mate. And that headache is also a lot more serious because if the deputy president was to look for a running mate from OCA, you realize that there are only 2 potential candidates, that is Honorable Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka, who are senior traditionally than the deputy president. And it becomes relatively difficult for them to then think of playing second fiddle to the deputy president. So both parties have issues to deal with in terms of to what extent do they bring together formations that would help them win that power. The other things of economic model and all that, I think those ones are secondary because you have to win that power for even to talk about bottom up, talk about putting money in the pockets of Kenyans.
Let me bring in Alice Wahome right now because a very crucial question was raised, and it has been raised several times. UDA has constantly said, and members have said that they're not interested in the coalescing of parties, so to speak. And looking at how our politics is set up and what has happened in the past, it would be very hard to clinch power without having partnerships with these other parties like what we are seeing happen. So what's the game plan here? What is the alternative? And I know you've said, and I know you've severally said you're partnering with Kenyans, but in what form? In what form and shape?
Kenyans have their ballot paper ready by 9th. Kenyans have their IDs. That's one shape that we shall partner, that we shall seek their vote directly. You see, these people who are coalescing around each other want to be the gatekeepers of the Kenyan vote. But we are breaking those barriers, and they need to be broken. The barriers are purely ethnic based, and they have done that for a long time. And we shall punch and speak to that and tell Kenyans to release themselves from that ethnic, mobilization. We are mobilizing Kenyans as Kenyans around the issue of economic revival, economic revolution. And that is a new thing because ordinarily, and if you see how the Wiper, Kalonzo will come out, or the Honorable Raila Odinga, Mudavadi, Mudavadi first and foremost, he could be a good person, but he's completely unable to get out of Western Kenya. Kalonzo Musyoka is completely unable to get out of Eastern Province. And that's possible.
What shows that? What shows that? We've seen them go around the country. We've seen them go around the country.
Where have they gone? Look, you need to first and foremost see, do they have any elected leadership following them? Do they have any votes? Visiting, you could go to Mount Kenya and come out back with nothing. But you are telling me, you are saying, I had the question on political parties. You see, UDA is a new party, formed this year actually. So our business right now is recruitment of members, is ensuring that we have the right structures, ensuring that the leadership, the governance of the party is democratic. That is our first priority right now. And of course, setting our agenda and our aspirant right now, because of course we have a candidate. We believe we have a candidate. And that candidate will win nomination should we have a competitor. As it were now, we don't have a competitor in UDA. So, we cannot be now forming UDA, strengthening UDA, recruiting members, and then worrying about other political parties. those other political parties should be busy getting their votes together, mobilizing their votes. That's fine.
All right.
And we don't think this is the right time to start discussing, and we have not forced. You know, I hear this question, Manzo is saying that UDA is forcing, William Ruto is forcing political parties to close shop. I want to remind Manzo that when actually time came, Jubilee actually forced political parties to close shop and merge, become one party under Jubilee. And of course, the rest of the story is known that after that, it is betrayal after betrayal. You know, William Ruto may be one unhappy person because of that, you know, because we put in too much, a lot of work into a political party, thinking that it will be the next vehicle to form the government.
So why are you convinced? Why are you convinced that it will be different this time, and we are going for the same model?
I wanted to answer the question of, we are not forcing any political party to fold. We are joining. We are saying we are working with everybody. And if we are working with everybody, with Kenyans, you could be in a political party. And you know, the doors are not closed. Nobody has said we have closed our doors. I don't know where this, you know, this is a narrative that some people have tried to create within Mount Kenya region. And you know, UDA Mount Kenya region is a Kenyan party, is a Kenyan party. It is being accepted everywhere, countrywide. And therefore, why would we be bothered with another political party that is trying to get, I mean, look, when the right time comes, they will decide whether they want to join UDA. But I can tell you our business right now is to expand, enlarge our voter base and our membership base.
Okay. Honorable Ohomes seems to think from what she says that even with the trips that the parties have been making, OCA as a team, to Mount Kenya, it doesn't necessarily translate to harvesting votes like what UDA is doing. Perhaps respond to that and some of the things she's raised there on why Kalonzo and Mudavadi perhaps need to get out of their traditional votes.
Last weekend, they were in Naivasha. And previously, they have been into many other parts of the country. And we see, first of all, you know, under the law, you must first have your candidature declared through an NDC system so that you can comply with the Political Parties Act. So far, there has not arisen somebody in UDA to say they are challenging Ruto, that they want to challenge him for the presidency. That can still happen within UDA. And again, also, the running mate is really a challenge. Where do you get your running mate from, and how do you coalesce with other parties? Their policy for now, and they have announced it clear, is that you fold your party and you join as an individual. And I think that ideology is really was there in the earlier days before the repeal of Section 2A. Now Kenya is a multi-party democracy, and anyone is free to join the party of their choice. So,
but she's also expressly said that they're not forcing anybody. It's a free space.
It's a free space, but you've had utterances before, unless she's not aware of those utterances from our own party leader, that or their presidential candidate, who they have not even nominated, they have not gone to any nominations. Because everybody's free, even within UDA, also to vie against Ruto there for the presidential ticket. And therefore, when she says we have not gotten out of our cocoons, currently as constituted, UDA is domiciled in Rift Valley. It's just one branch of the old Kano, which is trying to grow within Rift Valley and reaching other areas. As we are aware, Central Province has so many other outfits. And the people associated with UDA right now are elected members of parliament. I want to remind her, because she was in parliament with me last time, that only 30% came back to the house. So relying on a member of parliament ruling may not be sufficient enough, may not be reflecting the thinking of the people now. The people have to go to the ballot so that you can know what they're thinking about. And I can assure you, there are many Kenyans who don't like the style of leadership of William Ruto, and there are equally also many Kenyans who don't like the leadership and style of Raila Odinga. And they are urging OCA, please don't go to either of the side. Don't leave us to the fate of those two. We must have a third option whereby as many Kenyans as they wish, they can also have that third option.
But is Oka ready to give Kenyans that third option?
Why not? Oka is going all the way. And I believe even if we expand our coalition, as you have seen recently, political parties and party leaders from other parties in Mount Kenya recently joined, had talks with Oka, and probably they are going to grow together. And these are not small-time politicians. Martha Karua is a very serious politician in central Kenya, and she has a political party. Similarly, the former governor of Kiambu, Honorable Kabogo is a very serious leader in Central Province, and you cannot underrate him. Even if he lost a gubernatorial seat, you can see he had a lot of a serious following from Kiambu County. So all these are not leaders you can underrate, and I think the truth will unfold the moment UDA nominates his presidential candidate, and similarly a running mate.
Allow me to ask this before I go to my other panelists. If Oka is going all the way, as you've confidently put it, what is the place of this alliance with Raila Odinga?
Currently, Raila Odinga is doing something called Azimio la Umoja. And my reading of Raila Odinga of late, he is reconciling with everybody. He has no fight with anyone. And you can see he has developed that attitude that Kenya should be peaceful. And I think all these models being marketed to revive economy are useless if the country is not going to be peaceful. Remember in the last election when we saw in Raila Odinga as the people's president, it only took a handshake to bring peace into the country. Otherwise, I think by now we'll be in civil war. And if this rhetoric of the political parties now, of UDA and chest dumping goes on, and many Kenyans don't like that style, we are likely to be back to a similar situation, whereby you have two formations who are swearing their own candidates, who probably disagree with what IBC will present, and who don't want to go to court. That puts the country in a very risky situation. So we want to see leaders who are willing to accept the outcome of election, first and foremost, and the leaders also who are not doing it as if it is do or die, that you must become president by all means and everybody must follow you by force, and if they are not with you, you don't care about them. Right. And I think that attitude is as posed by my colleague, my senior lawyer, MP for Kandara, really, it's the wrong attitude for Kenyans.
Let me let her respond to that before I go to her husband. I have a question for her husband, but Wahome, I'll give you a chance to respond to that. That William Ruto is coming out as bullish? I imagine that's what you're saying.
You see, when they go out and look for votes, when they speak to the public, when they get their meetings done, when Raila goes around everywhere, that is not bullish. Even when they arrange the stone throwing and and violence in various areas. When we see the police brutality being meted out, in fact, on our supporters, every so, including some meetings that the Deputy President himself has attended. So that is not bullish. When William Ruto brings people together, his rallies are well attended, that becomes chest thumping. I don't understand when did he ever chest thump? It is those people who have repeatedly gone back and again. William Ruto has never really sought or gone for a ballot for presidency. This is his first time. Kalonzo has done that. I believe Mudavadi has done that. The Honorable Raila Odinga is going for his fifth term. And you tell me that it is not a do or die for Raila Odinga? I think it is a do or die. Indeed, if he were to take advice, he would this time maybe endorse somebody else. You recall actually that Kalonzo Musyoka, my learned friend's party leader, had sworn not to agree to support the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, but when he doesn't seem to have sufficient fiber to go for it. And I mean, I dare say that the way he's going, there is a quiet message that eventually, possibly, he will be taking a second position under ODM. He will go through the same thing that he went last time. He has not learned, because if he has learned through Oka, then they would give us a presidential candidate, and that is very welcome. Nobody's worried about that. I think it would be a good thing to have a presidential candidate from that team, because they are already a coalition and they left NASA because they were unhappy with the bullying that they were, experiencing in ODM. But they seem to be back to the same thing because they can't put up sufficient presidential, machinery to go for it.
Wahome, I should ask this. Why is UDA so keen on having a third force or a presidential candidate from OKA and not all of them going the Raila Odinga way? Why are we almost vouching for Oka to go all the way to the ballot?
They have said so. I'm looking at the statements they have made. Mudavadi, remember the statements he has made, that this time, it has to be, even his own lieutenants, you have seen his lieutenant, people like Malala, Kalonzo Musyoka's members of parliament have sworn not to support him if he went to support another candidate. So we are not vouching. We are not really pushing it ourselves. By the way, that is not our business. We are so busy in UDA that these people are unable to do their own strategies because they are following what we are doing. Look, this is an open field. Anybody can come up, and you can't stop a candidate or an aspirant from seeking these positions.
Fair enough.
It's a free democracy. Yeah.
Fair enough. You've made your point. Husband, I've heard you laugh. This is a game of numbers. Let's bring in your crystal ball. Raila Odinga runs, Oka goes all the way to the ballot. William Ruto also runs with UDA. What does that look like in August 9th, 2022?
Well, I think Raila Odinga runs, UDA goes all the way, Oka comes up with the third force.
Third force.
Even if it is Oka plus the Mount Kenya group led by, Honorable Kabogo and Martha Karua, we are definitely, well poised to prepare for a runoff. Because when you have those three, candidates on the ballot, there's no way you're going to have 50 plus one. I mean, it will take a massive, campaign strategy for one of them to get 50 plus one. And I think that's essentially what UDA wants. I think for them, it's a question of telling anyone who cares to listen that the candidate that they want, that they know how to beat repeatedly, is Raila Odinga. But that is the fear that they have the most. What they want is for a third force to emerge, because any third force that would emerge would be a blow to Raila Odinga. And even if it doesn't add to the votes that the deputy president will get, at least it will reduce the votes that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is likely to get. And I think that's essentially what UDA and their strategy is. But let me just respond to one thing that both Waheshimiwas have talked about. Mheshimiwa Dan Manzo has talked about, Raila Odinga is, running this Azimio la Umoja, and they're still intact with their, Oka, movement. And they invited Raila because of the Azimio la Umoja. The question you may want to ask yourself is, there are so many competitors, but three, at least if there's a third force from Oka, Raila, William Ruto, and whoever Oka will pick. So the writing on the wall is very clear. If Raila is a competitor like the deputy president, why was Raila in, Wiper Democratic Movement's NDC? Why is it that Raila was in KANU's NDC? I think the only NDC that Raila missed was Moses Wetangula's Fort Kenya NDC. That tells you a lot, that we have this movement called Oka that has the ignition of a car, but even starting the car is sort of problematic. And I think that is something that Raila could be very happy about, but I don't think the deputy president's camp is happy with that. They are probably jittery around that, and they will do anything to have Oka field a candidate. Then number two, Mheshimiwa Alice Wahome has talked about the popularity of the deputy president. And I think credit has to be given where it is due. That since the advent of the handshake, we've seen the president and the Right Honorable Raila bring some sort of very conducive environment for politicians to articulate their issues all over the country, irrespective of where they come from. And the one politician who has taken advantage of this is the deputy president. I think the deputy president has traversed the entire country to sell his bottom-up approach. And he's redefined the way we mobilize around our politics. There is nowhere where he has not gone and received some sort of a very welcoming, reception. He's gone to my home county of Migori, and I think it was rosy for him. He had a governor there, so we cannot say that he didn't have the local leaders. But the question we may want to ask ourselves, to what extent does this rallying of Kenyans from all over this country likely to translate to the vote? Because you're seeing all these politicians are doing it. Raila has gone to the mountain. He has attracted large crowds. The deputy president has gone to Raila's home turf. Raila has gone to Wasingishu, and we've seen all this in West Pokot. So the question we may want to ask ourselves, we are seeing a redefinition of our political mobilization. And I don't think there is one particular presidential candidate who can say that because of those crowds, Kenyans are with them.
Yeah.
I think whether Kenyans are with any one particular politician will be something that will be determined on the votes, because we have this tradition of voting along tribal lines. So for us to even be certain that we've moved beyond tribal mobilization, we cannot depend on these crowds.
All right.
We'll have to wait and see.
All right.
But finally, Akisa,
yes.
let me just say this, that mobilization that is a tribal is in itself a good thing and a very good step in our democracy, for the simple reason that now that politicians know that they'll be received in any part of this country, they will have to start articulating issues of the places where they are going to be received. Because no crowd will come to listen to political rhetoric. I'm not so sure Kenyans are receptive of the conversations that are now coming to an end, where political leaders are attacking other political leaders.
Right.
They'll give you that audience, but they'll rise to the point where they'll want you to articulate serious issues.
All right. All right, Hezbollah, I think you've made your point, and someone has also tweeted here and says that crowds are not votes. I'm trying to look for that tweet to read it as it is, but I'll look for it. But he really basically said that crowds are not necessarily, do not necessarily translate to votes. Several questions have come up from what your fellow co-panelists have said, but maybe let's just get this clear. When we say that One Kenya Alliance is going all the way to the ballot, do we mean that there will be a presidential candidate from the One Kenya Alliance and a running mate from the One Kenya Alliance? Or do we mean that they will be in a ballot in the form that they will deputize someone outside the One Kenya Alliance? What do we mean when they say you will go all the way to the ballot? And why do we imagine this alliance will be any different from what happened in NASA?
Well, it is different because, first of all, during NASA time, KANU was not on board. And out of the few meetings KANU has made, I've realized as a politician that KANU has very serious structures which are historical, and there are people who really believe in KANU and may not be swayed to vote elsewhere. What we are going to do, we have a party of political parties, just like the way we had NARC in 2002. So we're going to have a presidential candidate in Oka and a running mate from Oka. So and we have now allowed the political party leaders in Oka to do consensus on their own, and using their own method, come up with a winning presidential candidate. Because if you look at the formations, you see ODM is domiciled in Nyanza, and UDA is domiciled in Rift Valley. In Kenya, because politics in Kenya are very tribal, since independence we have only been ruled either from Rift Valley or from Central. And therefore, this time around, those are only two formations or two tribes in the country. And the reality is the Kenyan politics are tribal at the end of the day. And there will be tribal chiefs, whether people like it or not. And even eventually, I don't believe President Uhuru Kenyatta is no longer in charge of his tribe, because they are the ones who elected him and they are the ones who put him there. I still believe he has a say. and he has quite a big following in that team. So, and as a person currently holding the instruments of power, as a way, in one way or another, are likely to influence politics. And therefore, Kenyans are looking for this vote now, or the presidency, going into another region in the country. I don't know why someone knowing that President Moi was in power for 24 years, and now we've had 3 presidents from Central Kenya. In fact, Central Kenya people are very fair. They have said this time around, mtuombe kura. We are not going to field a presidential candidate. We want to support somebody else. So they are very open to, to give their vote to another part of the country. They don't want to look selfish. And I think that's a very good thing for Central Kenya province. But they have one thing missing, and none of these UDA MPs from Central Kenya have explained. What vehicle will they use to negotiate? Because they are not the ones with the instruments of power of UDA. Instruments of power of UDA are with Dr. William Ruto. And that is a serious question. And also the issue of a running mate. Can William Ruto have a running mate from any other part of the country other than Central? The moment he abandons Central, they will also abandon him, and he will be smaller than any of the smallest parties in this country. And I want to give you the history of the political party. In fact, the oldest party in Kenya is KANU, followed by Ford Kenya, followed by ODM, and then Wiper. In fact, Wiper came before ODM, although both of them were registered at the same time. So if you look at the NARC died, there was PNU died, or is in
domiciled somewhere else.
Yes, no, it's small now. It doesn't have that command of the follow it used to have, and you can see also Jubilee died, and the UDA is in that category. So at least Wiper and the ODM and KANU and the Ford Kenya have been in existence for a long time, and I have very serious following. I looked at the following of Ford Kenya during their launch, and you could see that they are serious, they are determined, and they are not going to be swayed to vote elsewhere.
This fallout in NASA was very acrimonious, very, very acrimonious, and it played out in the public space. How are you going to convince your supporters that things will be different this time round? Are we suddenly trusting each other? Do we suddenly have the same ideologies? And when you say that One Kenya Alliance will go all the way to the ballot, what business is this that we are doing with Raila Odinga, who is also likely to be in the ballot?
Well, Raila Odinga may decide to say Katosha. He has not yet declared his candidature. Yes. And he said he will make his mind clear on 9th. And the fact that he has not declared his candidature now, it means he's looking at a lot of parameters. And
so we are banking on
no, not really, but politics, as very many unpredictable. So anything is possible in politics. Nobody thought after the swearing in of Raila Odinga as the people's president, he will ever share a room with President Uhuru Kenyatta. But within a week, they took a cup of tea. So, I mean, anything is possible. Will you be surprised to find William Ruto working with Raila Odinga? It is possible.
You'll also not be surprised to see Oka working with William Ruto.
Yes, anything can happen in politics. And I said 9 months is a long way. What we are doing now is a lot of speculation. But the truth is that the fallout of NASA was triggered by a few individuals in NASA. And one of the problems was the promise that after 10 years of supporting the candidature of Raila Odinga, it was now naturally expected that Raila Odinga was going to support someone else in that outfit. But it is good that it broke, because now if we remained in NASA, we will not be accommodating KANU, and probably KANU will be accommodated elsewhere. And many other political formations like the ones of Central Kenya Unity, which are also now working with the OKA as an outfit. So we are very happy that OKA is a new outfit, and OKA is NASA plus KANU plus Mount Kenya outfits.
All right. Honorable Wahome, the experience with the Jubilee Party, unfolding of parties into one big formidable party, we've seen what has happened, and especially in the second term of the Jubilee government. I imagine it will be very hard right now to convince parties to fold up and join UDA, considering the experience and the lessons that have been learned from the Jubilee Party and what happened therein. Are we flexible to change tack at some point and start talking alliances like we're seeing with everyone else in the political space?
What I said, and I want to repeat, is that we are looking for votes as UDA. Therefore, you may bring your votes in UDA, if you have a political party and you want to partner. But that is most likely going to happen at very last, maybe very last
minutes.
Maybe 3 months, not maybe the last 3 months. That is a possibility. But let me tell you, I think Manzo is also dreaming something. When he says that they will have a presidential candidate, it is not possible that the three of them will produce. You know, the Oka team as established now will not produce a joint presidential candidate. What is likely to happen is that 2 of those are likely to join ODM to support the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. But also Raila Odinga could be left with 2 of them and then support 1. But there will be 1 of those who will be leaving. I am willing to bet on that it is likely that either Kalonzo will be going away or Mudavadi. But the 3 of them to have 1 presidential candidate, that is not likely to happen.
Why do you think so?
You know, there is this, who has what? You know, I mean, there are many factors in there to consider. Gideon is already swaying towards ODM. So he is there in a lukewarm manner in the Oka. He's not really committed. They are just buying time to see where maybe the weight will be. So eventually you might see Gideon going to join ODM and Kalonzo going to join ODM. Then Mudavadi will be left alone to fight at least for presidency. That is likely to happen. The alternative, because the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is still weighing his options, he has found the terrain very rough and very tough. Those expeditions he has taken to Mount Kenya, I can tell you, if they have added in votes, it is insignificant. And therefore, he knows even his main sponsor or supporter, the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, because I think he's friendly and maybe sympathetic to his cause, he has not really come out strongly to say he is supporting Raila. I think he's still testing the waters. And it is true, he has his own influence. But this time round, I'm telling you, the message in Mount Kenya is that we are also not willing to be directed from a certain corner, be it State House, be it Safari Park, be it somebody's home. People have to come out themselves and sell their agenda to Mount Kenya region and any other part. And I think that is a good thing. I think we should encourage that and also make it peaceful. We must allow engagement, public participation, free democratic space in the entire country so that I can move freely to any other region, even if it is not my home backyard. Because if we close the regions, then that is not democratic.
Right.
And therefore, I'm happy that UDA is actually showing the way on that score. And you have seen whether people try to plan funny things, they are backfiring, because I think Kenyans also don't want that business anymore.
Right.
So
I should ask this. You've said that...
the parties...
Yes, just finish your point.
Yeah, on parties joining, they can join. Of course, some things have been discussed. I mean, we have gone a long way. This started in 2018, remember? And the movement, the Hasra Nation movement, is very strong.
Right.
And I can tell you that there are things that people are assuming. And it is true, crowds don't always translate into vote. But numbers, politics is about numbers. And those numbers, you get them from crowds and from people and explaining yourself to the people.
And it's the same crowds, these other presidential hopefuls are getting. The ones that you're dismissing are not the numbers.
I hope you are not, give us... You haven't said that for UDA. You haven't even said that we are pulling good crowds. I think let's have a balanced debate.
No, it is balanced. It's because you started by saying, Honorable Wahome, you started by saying that all the other candidates who are especially going to Mount Kenya are not getting anything, but UDA is. That is a statement I need you to substantiate.
In terms of votes, they are getting, you say you say it yourself, or my colleagues, the also said crowds are not necessarily votes.
Yes.
But, I am speaking from Mount Kenya region. Our crowds are votes. The votes, we had 8 million votes. William Ruto is leading the former brigades. There are very few people who have left. Majority of those who have left or who are not willing to partner with William Ruto are people who have been scared from State House. They have been scared from DCI. They have been scared from ACC. Some of them have misconducted themselves. Others is just political intimidation and have agreed to buy fear. But I can tell you, give it February, a good number, very good number of those remaining in Mount Kenya. And you have seen the movement.
All right.
The movement is not towards ODM. From Mount Kenya, the movement can tell you where the people are.
All right.
If you look at the people so far who have left Jubilee, they haven't gone to OCA, they haven't gone to ODM, they have gone to UDA. That tells you, speaks volumes and tells you where the people are.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough, Mesh. You've
I'm
made
very
your point.
Confident, yeah.
You've made your point. Fair enough. We have about less than 5 minutes to go, so perhaps let's do a round of closing remarks, and I'll start with you, Hesbon. You've heard what the two members of parliament or legislators have had to say, and everyone seems to really believe in the cause of their political parties. But let's fast forward it to next year, and we are seeing UDA say that perhaps they will have conversations around alliances some 3 months to the elections. So then maybe then that speaks to it's a bit too early to tell how this is going to go. For political parties, even as we head into 2022, you already mentioned some of the things that will be very crucial for them to align themselves with each other. But who carries the day? What's the winning formula here? Who has it? What does it look like?
Well, I think to some extent, I want to agree with Mheshimiwa Wahome that there is a high likelihood that the only problematic candidate from OCA is Musalia Mudavadi. And I think that's good music to Raila Odinga. And before I come back to your question, for the simple reason that if the other three, Kalonzo Musyoka, Senator Gideon Moi, and Wetangula, join forces with Raila, I think for him the permutations would be fairly straightforward. Mudavadi has been a presidential candidate before, it never troubled Raila. Then number two, if you combine that, the three coming Raila's way, and then you have what she's talking about in Mount Kenya, that if Raila gets anything in Mount Kenya, it will be very insignificant. I think that insignificant is probably going to be enough for Raila. He only needs two things. That insignificant that Mheshimiwa is talking about, and of course voter apathy. But that is assuming that President Uhuru Kenyatta will not come out and marshal support for Raila Odinga, the way Mheshimiwa is alluding to. But let me come back to your question. What does it look like? I would say that it doesn't look pretty for any of the presidential candidates because the period we are going to, the turn of the year, will see a lot of movements from both political formations. We'll see guys move from one formation to another. And I think what that then means is that it creates that perception that where this person is moving to, whoever the effect is moving to, there is likelihood to be some sort of a bandwagon effect, that people will move into that direction thinking that that is the winning fortune. And that is what the deputy president seems to be banking on, that you don't need to come out clearly and say that this is my coalition, but wait for the fallout in other coalitions. And when people come his direction, I think it creates that, impression that the hustler movement is such a big movement, and then they bank on the bandwagon effect and go around the country. But there is also the conundrum that the deputy president probably faces, that the way he has attracted so many people, he has built this movement with stalwarts like Mheshimiwa Wahome here. The day there is mass movement with UDA is the day he'll have the headache of managing the stalwarts who have been with him and dealing with the big names that will be coming. So he'll be pushed into a situation where any latecomer will definitely be fixed. Because the moment you join, the impression you've created is that the other side is losing. And you've already brought that impression that this is the winning side. And I don't know how many he will have to fix and still succeed. And if you look at the grand scheme of things, it will only be people from Mount Kenya region who are likely to join the deputy president. And that would augment the trouble that he will have in trying to contain them. Right now, I think if you look at the political scene, there are two key people who have been very strong with the deputy president and are no longer with him. And I think that should be a worry for him. One is the Kwale governor, Salim Mvurya. We no longer see him with the deputy president. So that in itself tells you that there is likely to be a minus. Where he's going does not matter. The fact that he will leave the Hustler movement is likely to be a big thing. And then we have Kirinyaga. So I'm not so sure what will happen because we are seeing Governor Anne Waiguru prominently poised, but then you're not seeing Mheshimiwa Ngiriti. And that tells you that dealing with that, and there's only one direction. You know, for UDA, the problem they've put for themselves is there are no parties that are affiliated with the deputy president. It's only UDA. So the moment you leave, this other side is very easy to welcome you. And it will be very easy for this other side to create that, movement towards the election. It comes out strongly, to galvanize Mount Kenya and lead them to whichever formation he leads them.
Right.
Now, if he makes a pronouncement that Raila is the direction to go, I think it's going to be a very big blow for the UDA movement.
Right.
Because what happens is, at the moment, it's easy to be the deputy president. But the moment the president, as a kingpin of the region, identifies a political vehicle, and there are candidates in that vehicle, even Mheshimiwa here will have trouble helping the deputy president. He will start dealing with his backyard.
All right. Let's bring it to you. A lot has been said. And from what Honorable Wahome started with, saying that the goal here is to beat Deputy President William Ruto. So if we all decide to take it to the ballot, beg your pardon, are we not making his task even easier to ascend to power? The pundits seem to also feel the same.
I don't think so. First and foremost, we're going to have 3 presidential candidates or 3 formations. I am very confident, although Honorable Wahome says that Kalonzo and Wetangula will go Raila way. I don't think that's the case. I have followed keenly what Oka is doing, and I know that Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is very firm. Gideon Moore is very firm. And I'm also aware that Honorable Musalia and his following are very firm, and similarly, and very strongly so, Ford Kenya Resolve is very firm. And that's why the brigades, now the likes of Savula, myself, and the whole teams in Kanu and everywhere, the members of parliament are pulled back to allow the party leaders to have their own conference and give us 2, a presidential candidate and a running mate, and the rest will support, and there will be the necessary coalition agreement to take care of their input. I can assure you, Oka has some very serious strengths in its backyard, and when you look on the other side of UDA, I like what Moses Kuria is doing, and I'm wishing him quick recovery. Moses Kuria is the one who will rescue Central Kenya from the hand of UDA. The Central Kenya are now captives of one William Samoei Ruto.
Well, why are they captives? Why are they captives?
You see, they are following.
They are willingly following him.
I don't think they are willing. And this is a narrative by members of parliament. Most of them will not come back, will receive serious challenges out of, if there is an alternative party within UDA. And if this UDA was very serious with this national narrative following, then let William Ruto not have a running mate from Central Kenya and see whether he will not become a Rift Valley affair.
I'm going to give Wahome a chance to respond to that, but first, if Oka decides to go all the way, how do you convince anybody that Oka has the clout to beat, and the votes and the numbers and the muscle to beat either Raila Odinga or William Ruto? Do they even have it in the first place?
Yes, they do, and I'll tell you why. Part of the areas Raila Odinga has been commanding is South Coast, North Coast and Mombasa, and even Taita and even Masai Land. All those ordinarily were dominance of Raila Odinga. They are no longer dominance of Raila Odinga.
How do we measure that?
You know by the number of supporters who have gone to UDA. That I'll tell you, like you see the member of parliament for Malindi has quite some following.
So it's UDA that's taken over this?
Yes, UDA has taken over that. But the biggest challenge of UDA is it Rift Valley Central affair? If that was not the case, then let now the Deputy President announce a running mate from Coast or a running mate from Ukambani or Masai Land, and then we'll see whether UDA will hold. Again also, the moment out of people, if he must now announce a running mate from Central Kenya, will it be Wahome, Rigathi, or Waiguru? The moment he picks one of them, you'll see the others moving away to the Moses Kuria formation, so that they can also have a chance.
We need to wrap up.
And therefore, the numbers of UDA are gone. Similarly, the numbers of Raila are gone. Therefore, Oka takes it.
Okay, Wahome, I'll give you 30 seconds to respond to that and give us a closing remark.
I don't want to talk about other formations in Mount Kenya region because it has been a wishful thinking for many people, people like Manzo, you hear what he's saying, and hoping that some other parties can come and take a big chunk. And Manzo, we shall be here maybe discussing after August next year. I take this from me. Majority of our votes, very big number, the winning number, will go to UDA. UDA is our party, and it is very, very wrong for you to say that UDA is for William Ruto. So it means Wiper Party is purely a Kalonzo Musyoka affair from your statement. But I also want to tell you that actually you have a lot of the reason why Kalonzo is not very attractive is because he also has a lot of problems in his backyard. You can see Kevuda pulling from a different charity and the governor of Machakos, Alfred Mutua. He can't even manage that in itself. So they don't have any attractive vote for now in terms of and we have taken a big chunk ourselves from the vote I'm talking about is for the Wiper. We have taken a very big chunk and we are very satisfied with the support we are getting from the Eastern Bloc. And even in Coast and everywhere else. So I want to just tell them, let them work and we meet ahead. And he should stop talking about members of parliament. I think that is not fair. Manzo himself is a member of parliament, so actually he's then saying he's unlikely to come back.
We need to go. We need to go.
The UDA is the way to go.
Okay, we
not
need to go.
Just in Mount Kenya, Rift Valley, in Kenya.
All right, we need to go. You've said that we'll have this conversation again in August. So after August, I will have you back here and we have this conversation again. Alice Wahome is a member of parliament.
You have me before. The conversation with
definitely.
Including the running mate.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We have to go. Unfortunately, 1 hour is never enough. But thank you very much for joining us. Alice Wahome is a member of parliament, Kandara. And Dan Manzo here in studio is a member of parliament, Makueni. Husband Owil is a political analyst. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for joining us for this conversation. We will keep at 8, just keeping tabs on what is happening on the political space. And here is where you get all the apt analysis and the inside info here on what's going on in these political parties and in these camps. I am Akisa Andera. Thank you for joining or watching Crossfire tonight. Till next time, have a good one.